It's wonderful to see all of you here today. Thank you for coming out. Thanks for having me. As Greg alluded to, many of you know, I know a lot of your faces. I started the Flutter team 9 years ago, almost, and it has been quite the ride. And it's been wonderful to have all of you to drive that these last 9 years. I also led the Flutter team until leaving Google this last fall. I picked up the Dart team along the way, um, and then now I'm here. So we got slides. Let's do it. So you might be asking, why am I here, right? I left the Flutter community. I didn't go very far. I played a little golf with my dad, started another company, went back to my startup roots, and we are trying to build an economic center for Flutter, right? Not that it doesn't already have lots of companies, but we're taking our hand at building the next great Flutter company. Because I have been motivated by the same mission for almost 2 decades now, which is that I would just like the world to stop writing the damn thing twice. You know, we spend human lifetimes just throwing away after chasing platforms instead of chasing users. And this is all because of broken incentives that platforms want you to write for platforms, whereas I, at least, want to write for users. And this has been something I've been trying to fix for a long time. The status quo today is that you write 3 times, right? If you're in the US, that means you start on iOS, then maybe you move to Android, you eventually move to the web. Depending on where you are in the world, those 3 in different orders. And it's bad. It's slow. And it costs too much. And you get poor quality at the other end. As I said before, platforms want you to write for platforms. You want to write for users. And Flutter, as you know, is here to help. Multi-platform, again, is shipping to people, not to platforms. And for the longest time, there was a question of, is this possible? Right? Because multi-platform for the long time has been a dirty word. Right? It's been associated with lack of quality. But Flutter has proven that this is possible, that if you bring quality and you have high quality multi-platform, you align the incentives and people want it. And Flutter, you know, as you see from these charts, right? We're actually, I think, still relatively early in Flutter's growth. And it is way up and to the right. Because, as you know, it brings lots of benefits, including massive productivity wins, which isn't just because you write once for one platform and you get a second platform for free. That helps. But also, there's organizational change that happens. And David's going to talk a bunch about that tomorrow as a part of being able to, again, write for people and not for platforms. So I believe high quality multi-platform defaults should be the default. I think a lot of you in this room share that belief. And again, we've seen success through Flutter. I'm not going to talk a lot today about the users of Flutter here. I'm here to talk to you all developers, but it's everywhere. But there remains a question of, why doesn't everyone use Flutter? And that's what I actually want to talk with you about today, and what I think informs our next 10 years together. So this was a book, or this is taken from a book that was written back in the 80s called Crossing the Chasm. Many of you may have read it. It talks about the idea that in innovation, in technological change, there's a risk for new products, which is that your very early users do not look like your first, big real users. Thankfully, Flutter is long since past the chasm. We've left the chasm. But, and here again, this informs our next 10 years together, the next giant pile of users, so many more than exist today, have very different needs and interests than the ones that have come so far, which is a massive opportunity for us, but also is a lot of work. I want to talk about the next 10 million Flutter devs. And that may sound like a large number, but I actually don't think it is that much, right? Because again, you watch the incentives, right? So I think Flutter is on the order of about 1 million devs a month right now. But Android's probably 5 times that. The web is probably 10 times that, or 20 times that. And based on what I've read, I think we're adding about 1 million software devs a year to the world. again, you follow the incentives. They also want to ship to users. They also have business problems that they want to solve. They don't necessarily need to write platforms. And if high quality multi-platform is there for them, they're going to use it. And so to tie this back to my story and how we got here, part of the reason why I left Google, part of why I left the Nest, was that I reached a point where there were problems that I wanted to solve that I could not solve from my position. And I think that there's a bunch of problems that for us to solve, we also need to leave the nest. We also need to look outside of our current topics to the things that these next set of users are going to need. So the next 10 million Flutter developers, I don't know what they all look like, but I can tell you they look a lot different than the first few million have. Some of the ways, so we talk about this room, for better or worse, is going to care a lot more about Flutter than they are. And that's not good or bad. That's, there's lots of things that we can do with our, brief time on this planet. And people spend their energies on different things. But these next 10 million developers are not necessarily going to be here because of a passion about Flutter. They're going to be because they have a business problem to solve. And Flutter is the default solution or viewed as the up and coming solution. They're also going to need a level of safety and a level of grown up that, the vanguards, the people sitting in this room, did not require. And some of them are even going to be in the position where they did not choose Flutter. It was chosen for them. And they may be using it, as we used to say, out of anger. They also are going to have different needs in that, obviously many of us in this room work on large systems, some of which have legacy components, but increasingly that is going to be the norm. I haven't yet seen how does Flutter interface with OS2, but we're eventually going to get there. But these users are going to use, a sometimes somewhat broken Flutter setup. They're going to use an incomplete migrated, app or setup. They're going to have to talk to some ancient database. And again, they're going to need a level of safety to understand the costs. But again, there are also there are also benefits, obviously, with such an increased number of users. So what else do they need? The short answer is I don't actually know. I've talked to hundreds, probably thousands actually at this point, of companies using Flutter, individuals using Flutter in my many years leading the project. And I can take some guesses, but they're going to need a lot of these same problems. Like, I have put on here Dart and Jupyter. I have no idea. But this came up actually in talking to a company the other day because they have a whole bunch of AI engineers. I'm like, well, how do I use our AI stuff? So the thing I didn't put on here is ORM. Like, where's our official ORM? Like, these are just problems we're going to have to solve as we continue to grow the ecosystem. And there's also going to be opportunities, I think really big opportunities, things that we haven't yet imagined, because until now, the world hasn't had the ability to assume Flutter or assume high quality multi-platform. What does that look like? Right? Like right now, when you go to your analytics dashboard, you go to your crash report or whatever, the first thing it greets you with is, what platform do you care about? Well, I don't freaking care about platform. I want to know what's happening to my users. Right? Like what products do we build when we can assume that the platform stuff is just taken care of for us? Like when you go to your analytics dashboard, it doesn't break down your crashes based on IE versus Chrome as your first choice. And again, I think that we just haven't even begun to conceive of what those products look like. Anyways, the answer to all of these is honestly building, just going and doing. And I say that to this room and this room in particular, because you all are going to be the ones who do it, right? Like these next 10 million developers, they're not going to build all their solutions. Many of the solutions you have had to build, like, again, I've talked to countless customers, and so many of them are like, well, we built our own build system. We built our own CI/CD. We built our own Dart server-side framework. Great. These next 10 million developers are not going to do that for themselves. They're going to need yours. I think if we look back, like when Flutter started, it was just Google, right? It was 6 of us from the Chrome team who went and started the company, or started the project, and we were solving problems for Google. But I think over time, obviously other companies came to the fore. And I think as time continues to pass, it's even more and even more and even more. And again, these aren't even the companies that are using Flutter. These are all companies who are servicing you and those next 10 million developers. You may not even know all these names. This was, I don't know, 10 minutes of searching on Google. I probably missed at least half. And I apologize to all of you whose companies I failed to put. But this is a reflection of the opportunity that many of us see in this space, right? Like, I know at least 4 of these logos have taken venture capital funding in the last year, right? That is a reflection not of that these venture capitalists have like figured out that like they really like widgets. No, they see money, right? They see an opportunity. Anyways, aside from founding another company, which I would encourage you to do, it's great. There's lots to do for all of us. Ways that you can contribute to this opportunity, help pave the way for these next 10 million devs today, right? You can contribute to Pub, you can help explain Flutter to new people, you can bring Flutter to new audiences, you can simply vote with your wallet, right? Again, you may not have known many of those logos, and again, there's many, many more, but they are for you. And of course, you can always start your own. Anyways, this is sort of a 2-part talk I maybe could have explained at the beginning. Part of it is I want to talk a little bit about what the next 10 years look like. I also want to talk about what I'm doing to bring about those next 10 years. Because I didn't just go into my cave after retiring from Google. As I said, I started a new company, and we are also seeking to build. And I want to talk a little bit about that now. So that company is called Shorebird, named because that was the street on which Flutter was founded. Like Flutter, which had 2, 3 different names before we finally settled on Flutter. Trademarks are really hard. I'm sure we'll change it, but that's what it is for now. And the first product that we're building is Flutter Code Push, which many of you probably know what this is, but if you don't, Code Push is over-the-air instant updates for your apps. Basically how the web works, right? So Flutter, the key play that we made in doing Flutter was we took circa 2014 web technology and we brought it to mobile. And honestly, I'm running the same playbook again. We're trying to take circa 2023 web technology and bringing it to mobile. And Code Push is one of those things where everybody else has it. Everybody else uses it. And we, unfortunately, were somewhat laggards here in Flutterland in that we did not have, until we built it, an official Code Push solution. Anyways, this solves a real problem for businesses. It came up in more than half the customer conversations that I had last fall when I was researching this. Every large app today uses it. YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, they all use Code Push, right? Because none of them want to live in the world where they make a change to their app and then they have to wait 3 months for their users to get it. And again, if you also haven't thought a lot about the Code Push problem, part of how we got here, again, was by talking to customers. We also just went and looked and see what customers had said. We looked at GitHub, and if you look at 33 million open issues on GitHub, those aren't all just Flutter issues, but 33 million open issues on GitHub, the number 25th most upvoted of all time is Flutter Code Push. And as I said, I think I worked on 3 Code Push solutions at Google. Anyways, we were never able to ship them, but so now I have. And I want to give you a demo. But before I give the demo, I want to give a little preface. So I want to talk a little bit about what I've done before. I guess I probably could have done this on the demo. It's so fast. So we designed our code push solution, Shorebird Code Push, to be a drop-in replacement for your Flutter build command. We did this intentionally. We wanted it to be super easy to adopt. We didn't want you to have to adapt your workflows or think ahead about what things you might want to change in the app, things you might not want to change in the app. We designed it to be quick and easy to use and easy to integrate. Some of you probably are going to integrate it before the end of our talk here. But I have done steps 1 through 4 for you already before showing this app, which is I installed Shorebird, I created an account, I told the app that Shorebird exists, and I made a release. And now I can show you the demo. So actually, in a peak of irony, I guess, I built and submitted an app to the Play Store so that you all could download and follow along. But the Play Store has not yet approved the app. So you can't follow along in your seat. And so instead, we're going to get a volunteer to come up on stage, and they can be our representative production user. So can I have a volunteer? I will provide you a device. I just need a hand. Someone maybe I don't know? You, sir? Thank you. Give a round of applause for our volunteer. So importantly, I need to outfit our volunteer first. Can you wear the production user hat? And maybe hold the production user stuffy? Okay. And then I need you to have a sign so that we don't confuse you with a developer, right? So we have our production user. This is really high. Yeah, there you go. And then I need to give you the production user phone. So this is just a normal Android phone because I can't do an open, what is it called, open testing or whatever on Play. This is the internal testing build installed. I'll show it to you on the screen in a second. You probably recognize it as the Flutter Code Lab. I did the startup name generator code lab. Anyways, I thought it was fitting given how many things we need to start in order to service 10 million new users. Let me switch to my demo machine. There we go. All right, so I have another phone. I gave him the fancy new. I think that one's only 5 years old. This one's 8 years old. One of the side effects of running a large mobile team is that you collect a lot of old devices. And these were the ones that I brought with me to Germany. Anyway, so I'm going to connect this one, and I'm going to run screen copy, which if you haven't used is amazing. And I'm going to launch it. You can see it looks very familiar, right? It's just a startup name generator or project name generator. And the one modification I've made is I added a little rocket button in the lower right-hand corner, which is it checks for updates, right? So as I talked about before, you don't need to make any changes to your app in order to integrate Shorebird Code Push. Everything I've done here in terms of changing the dark code was completely optional. We publish a package on pub that allows you to talk to the underlying code push service if you want to show UI to the users. The default behavior is that we silently update in the background when the app launches. So that's the app. I'm going to plug this. And let me show you, I don't want to forget our production user. Thank you very much. So we're going to update our app live. And hopefully the demo gods will smile. So our production user, what's your name? I didn't ask. I'm sorry? Well, you are going to have to help me spell that. So we're going to go and change our code here. So we're going to say text, thank you. Can you spell your name? Bogdan. Thank you, Bogdan. And I think we're also going to, so that it's real easy to see, we're going to change the color. Do you have a favorite color? Do you have a favorite color? Yellow? Okay, we'll do yellow. And that's it. And so again, what I'm doing here, this is not hot reload. There's no development, anything going on. We're just going to send a patch to all the devices. Just all is, Bogdan is representing all for the moment. So we're going to do Shorebird patch Android. And what this is going to do is it's going to build a new copy of your Dart source code. What? Oh no! Oh, okay, okay. Yeah, so this is why you. What? Hold on. Too many positional arguments. Const text. Oh, there we go. See, what would I do without you all? So you know it's live now. Anyway, so this is now going to build your Dart source code. We wrote a custom Dart compiler, although it's not this aspect isn't that modified from the default. It's going to build your Dart source code. It's going to go ahead and download the released version of your app, so it can diff between the two, and that's important because it needs to tell you, did you change things that Shorebird doesn't know how to update for you, right? So if you change, Swift or Kotlin code, we can't update those. And so it needs to detect that and say, hey, if you were to publish this patch, you might end up in a weird, inconsistent state. And then it's ready. And then you can see it makes pretty small patches, although I actually think we can get those about 10 times as small as they are right now, because this is the dumbest possible binary diffing. And we hit yes. And then I'm going to connect mine. I'm going to turn on screen copy again. Hold on. Before we ask Bogdan to do his duty, and again, I really appreciate your continued support from the field there. Okay, I'm going to connect mine. I'm going to turn on screen copy. So this is my device, again, just another production device. I'm going to hit the update button. It says, oh, there's an update. I'm going to click it. Relaunches the app. And now for the moment of truth. Did it happen in the wild? Bogdan, report from the field. No Gradle errors, please. So we did have trouble this morning. It wasn't on Wi-Fi. But what do we got? We do have Wi-Fi. There we go. You got a restart button. How are we doing? Hey! We did it. Thank you very much. I'll take the device, but you can keep this way. Thank you very much. Okay, we can go back to our slides. So thank you again, Bogdan, for all your help. Let me talk a little bit about what you just saw, right? So that was code push for Flutter, where you can change any amount of Dart code. So that means you can change any Dart package, you can add a package, remove a package, all that stuff. You soon will be able to change any asset. We didn't quite get that shipped before FlutterCon, but that's coming soon. And again, the updates are available immediately on all devices in the field, just like the web works. Just like React Native works, or Cordova, or any of these other systems that have code push. And again, it's in production for Android devices today. The technical modifications to the Dart compiler and all that are significantly more on iOS, and those are going to take a little while longer, but we'll be launching that soon. How does it work? Again, we talked a little bit. It's just a drop-in replacement for Flutter build release. So you can use it locally, like we did for our demo, or you can just throw it on your CI. We have a GitHub action that works out of the box today on CI. We're also working on one for CodeMagic or whatever other services you might use. And as I sort of alluded to, the reason why we did all this way was we felt it was important for us to do the hard work so that you didn't have to, right? You don't have to think ahead, what aspects of my app might I want to change 3 months from now, right? You can just change them like you can for your web team, right? You now can for your mobile teams too. Again, importantly, it's safe. So this was a founding design decision around the company and around our approach to this product, is that we wanted it to be the Hippocratic oath that all doctors take. right? That first do no harm, right? What we are building should be no worse than what you have, right? Even if something goes horribly wrong, right? You can always just use the same, press the button, wait 3 weeks for approval, wait 3 months for adoption, solution that you have today. We also do lots of other things to keep it safe for you, right? We verify the hashes on the device. We have automatic rollback if for some reason it failed to boot, some mismatch of your data model or something like that. We also respect, obviously, we don't want to see your source. We just host the same binaries that the Play does, just so that you can then later do these diffs. And we always keep up with Flutter stable. We recognize some of you use older versions of Flutter. We will support some of those soon. Right now, we just track Flutter stable, lagging a few hours. It's also safe for stores. As I've alluded to, this is just how things are done these days. All of the large apps, right? Games have done this for decades, right? They ship down new Lua code for new levels and whatnot. And all the largest apps do this same solutions, whether it's through JavaScript or Lua or other interpreted languages. We've done the technical work on both the Play Store side and the App Store side to make sure that we comply with the technical guidelines. So on the Play Store, we use a virtual machine. On the App Store, we use an interpreter, a custom Dart interpreter that we've worked up for you. And then how do you use it? Well, first of all, it's free. So it's free today on our website. We charge on a usage-based model. So we charge, basically we're trying to align incentives. So like when you are seeing value delivered to your users, that's also when we are delivering value to you. We recognize that some of you may have very large apps. Happy to talk with you about custom pricing for very large apps. And if you want to learn more, that's the main website, and that's our Discord. Another quirk, I guess, of now this being my third company, this one's entirely in public. So we do everything in public on Discord. We do everything in public on GitHub. We do have like a private channel on the Discord. It's mostly for pictures of our pets. But otherwise, we do everything in the public and are happy to talk with you the hours that we're awake. Anyways, to bring us back, right? So we started out, we were talking about what is the next 10 years of Flutter. And then we talked about how I'm personally trying to contribute, and hopefully, you are too. I see such an opportunity for us all here. Not just for the businesses and the developers and whatnot in the room. I just mean for like humans, right? We just have so many better ways to be spending our time than writing to yet another platform. Like, let's go help each other. Let's go home before 5, So I think we have an opportunity to help. And so let's do that. But again, it's going to take work from us, from this room, to make it possible for these next giant waves of developers to adopt. Because we have, I think easily in the next 10 years, 10 million more Flutter devs to add. And the way we get there is by building. And of course, going to places, that aren't just maybe our comfort zone, helping them integrate their PHP, Laravel, .NET, all sorts of things, technologies that we may not choose, but they might have not chosen either, and we need to help. So that's all. Thank you.